It's been 133 days, 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 3, 4, 5 seconds since our last episode. Not that I've been counting or looking forward to it all summer or anything. That would be weird. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Tyler Small. Recruiting season is 24/7 when it comes to Ashley Howard, and he pulled out all the stops to try and convince the 5'10" sharpshooter from Brooklyn to attend LaSalle. Unfortunately, it turns out Adam Sandler is 55. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. The days of covering 25 different teams at once are finally over, but we are catching you up on how our 5 fall sports teams have been doing so far this season.
And later, we got a chance to sit down with not one, but 2 athletes in the midst of their fall season.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1, LaSalle is welcoming back most of their players from last season, but our fall sports team has welcomed a number of freshmen as well. Men's soccer added midfielder Daniel Kim and Will Krushank, and defenders Andres Rodriguez to their roster, while women's soccer added goalie Michaela Aguardo, defender Stella Kahn, Shay Collins, and Lauren Costello, midfielder Juliana Drum, Liv Cella, Gabri Pico, and Katie McCormick, and forward Haley Kushnevsky, and Suni Elmo. Field hockey welcomed defender Laura McCann, Sophia Pla, Simi Podgrier, and Grace Furiolo, midfielder Anya Knauskit, and Quinn Medico, along with forward Sophia Waslow, Kylie Patton, and Christina Doherty. Last but not least, cross country added Joe Vanderbilt and Dres Hernandez, Matt Callum Rowe, and Juliana Flood.
Number 2, men's soccer forward Junior Nare was featured in a profile for the Philadelphia Inquirer, earning some much-deserved recognition for his contributions to the soccer team. A native of South Africa and current sophomore, Nare was tied for the team's top scorer last season, along with making the Atlantic 10 All-Rookie team.
And number 3, field hockey defender Sophia Pla has earned her Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Week honor thanks to her hot start to the debut of the season. Pla was able to score just about 2 minutes into her collegiate debut against Rider University, then scored 2 against Merrimack, along with keeping a clean sheet in that same game. Pla currently leads the A10 in goals, points, and shots on goal.
Well, we are officially back. Fall sports have commenced, and we already have so much to talk about. We have so many new freshmen. When we were looking up, writing the script, so many new names, and it's proving to be very exciting, especially for the field hockey team. They've been doing great. Junior Nare for the Philadelphia Inquirer, not just saying that because I was the one that wrote the profile, but it's really exciting to see LaSalle athletes get that recognition on a publication that's, going citywide, lots of readers, lots of recognitions. And then Sophia Pla. I mean, she's just been phenomenal for field hockey. She's a freshman out of Argentina, but she's just lighting the A10 on fire already, and it's amazing.
Just getting off to that hot start, we're going to go over it a little bit more when we get to recaps, but she has been a huge catalyst on this team going from 0 wins to already 4 in this short season.
It's absolutely incredible. But that's it for the top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. The Taylor Thames era has begun for men's soccer, but the team didn't get off to the best start in their season opener against Army. The game was a back-and-forth contest with goals from seniors Ike Hollinger and Nigel Buckley, but an unfortunate injury to sophomore midfielder Scott Beeks and 4 first-half goals from the home team meant the Explorers ultimately fell 4-2 at Malik Stadium. However, they didn't stay down for long, returning to McCarthy Stadium to take on St. Francis Brooklyn. After an uneventful first half, Nigel Buckley was able to break through in the 74th minute, netting his 2nd goal of the season to hand LaSalle a 1-0 win. After that, it was back on the road for an extended stay in Maryland, starting with the match against UMBC. Although sophomores Justin Bruno and Dominic Backstein scored the first goals of their collegiate careers, the Explorers lost in 3-2 in an overtime heartbreaker. It was then on to Navy, where, despite 13 shots, 8 of which were on goal, the blue and gold couldn't find the back of the net and traveled back to 20th and Olney with the 1-0 loss. Not to be deterred by the losing streak, the Explorers rallied for a hard-fought 4-2 win against Rider on Saturday, thanks to goals from senior Sam DeCencio and Andrew Weir, sophomore Junior Nare, and junior Franco Mizwe. Unfortunately, the away game struggles continued as the Explorers took on LIU on Wednesday. Some bright spots included an own goal to put LaSalle up 1-0 early on in the game, followed by freshman David Kim scoring the first goal of his collegiate career and Scott Beeks seeing minutes for the first time since picking up a knee injury in the team's season opener. LIU were able to pull ahead in the second half, and while senior Amari Cotterell sent the ball into the back of LIU's net in the 80th minute, the goal was controversially ruled offside, and the Explorers eventually finished the game with a disappointing 3-2 loss.
Women's soccer has faced a gauntlet of a schedule to begin 2021 and has picked up 2 key victories. After dropping the first 2 games to number 10 Penn State and UConn, the home opener went the way of the Explorers 2-1 against Colgate, thanks to Danielle Rooney and Cameron Cox netting their first goals of the season. The Explorers would take on Drexel and draw, and then drop back against another one against number 16 Rutgers and Columbia before winning their second of the year against St. Francis. Lauren Costello scored a lone goal in the shutout victory, as Emily Banashevsky has led LaSalle offensively with 2 goals and an assist, while Shay Collins sits atop the team leaderboard with 2 assists of her own. Michaela Araguado and Jordan Stallard have split time in the net so far, as Stallard leads the goals allowed per game with 1.81, but Aguardo is responsible for the only shutout.
Field hockey got their season started with a tough 3-2 overtime loss on the road against Rider. The loss didn't trouble the Explorers much as they returned home and notched 2 straight victories, 3-0 against Merrimack and 4-2 against Bryant. The team then went on a trip down to Center City to take on Drexel. It was a close matchup that once again saw the Explorers lose 3-2 in overtime. LaSalle proved that home is where the heart is as they came back to Hank DeVincent Field to take on Lehigh. SportsLine producer Isaiah Clark has the coverage.
Friday, September 10th, Field Hockey returned home to take on Lehigh. The Mount Hawks opened up the scoring in the 6th minute with a score from Drew Pecora inside the circle. The Explorers become soaring back as Sophia Plot chipped it up to Christina Daltrey, who finished to tie the game up 1-1. The momentum just kept on going for the Explorers as Casey Rowley placed a perfect ball for Jessica Hewitt to finish right in front of the net. Lehigh was quick to answer back after halftime, starting the third quarter with Sarah Bontius chipping one over goalie Maddie Kahn to tie the game back up 2-2. Only a minute later, Tatum Johnson would put back her own deflection to give LaSalle a 1-goal lead, 3-2. The Explorers added an insurance goal when Sophia Waslow drove straight through the Lehigh defense to score an unassisted goal and make the score 4-2. Drew Pecora would add another goal late in the 4th for Lehigh, making the final score 4-3. 4 separate Explorers scored in the contest as Sophia Pla and Casey Rowley earned assists. For SportsLine, I'm Isaiah Clark.
Field hockey would stay home for their next game against Wagner, which saw the Explorers continue their home field dominance with a 1-0 victory.
Men's golf was in full swing last weekend at the 2021 Golf Week Fall Challenge. In day 1 of 3, junior Carson Rush and senior Matt Werner led the team as they shot 74. Rush carded 3 birdies, 3 bogeys, and a double in his round, while Werner posted 2 birdies and 4 bogeys. Junior Christian Fortis bounced back from an opening round 78 to close 1 under par with a 73 over his final 2 rounds. Fortis went 1 under par on the back 9 of his second round, and then followed that with a 1 under 71 on the final day of the competition. Fortis made the most of the opportunities on par 3s, going 4 under par on the tournament to rank tied for second individually and making him a top individual finisher for the Explorers at 53rd. Junior Nikita Normanov totaled 36 par over the 54-hole event, which was 15th best in the entire tournament.
So, lot to talk about. A thing that we've noticed in these teams formed so far is the fact that we are noticeably so much better at home than we are on the road, and it's a weird phenomenon. But right now, men's soccer has not won on the road yet. Mm-hmm. I don't think women's soccer has either. Field hockey. It's such a weird phenomenon. You have to try and wonder, is that due to the fact that students are back in the sand, so it makes home field advantage very real? But, Tyler, just what do you think is the difference between the home and the away forms this season so far?
It's a really interesting point because you look at field hockey, obviously, they're led with such great youth in their offensive production especially. And just having such a young roster, that obviously makes it a little bit easier because they haven't experienced the traveling so far and working with classes and being on the road and just the whole headache of traveling and playing road games. But it also is kind of a difference of the strength and schedule, really. They've gotten a little bit fortunate with the teams they've beaten at home. You can't pick your schedule, obviously, but that certainly helps. I mean, look at women's soccer. They're 2 road games with 2 ranked opponents. Like, that is going to make it a very difficult task for them. But I really do think it shows a lot of their character to be able to get it done at home. And if they could play all the sports, if they play 500 on the road, they'll really be in a good spot.
And with men's soccer, they have had some injury problems lately. Scott Beeks was injured. He's slowly getting more minutes back on the field. Brett Werner's injured. And that's another thing for men's soccer is that they have a wide selection of goalies, but for some reason they can't quite find the fit to replace Brett Werner until he comes back.
Yeah, and so far they're rolling with a mixture of Foster, Hall, and Mora, just 3 completely different units, an underclassman, a true senior, and Mora, who was kind of the biggest factor alongside Werner last year. He got the most run, and there have been a little bit of discrepancy in numbers. I mean, Mora's got a 500 save percentage so far. Hall's got a 400. So far, Foster, a veteran with this presence, he has been great for them so far in his given chances. I'm glad to see him getting a look. Shout out for him coming on SportsLine first and foremost.
Absolutely.
But it's really interesting. You really can't have a winning formula when you have 3 people rotating through net.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens this weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to get some home games and get some more wins back on the board.
Well, that's going to do it for recap. When we come back, Frank Amiz comes back from men's soccer to talk about the Explorers' thrilling home victory against Rider University.
When you miss an episode of Q&A, you get hungry. When you get hungry, you don't know what to eat. When you don't know what to eat, you get irritable. When you get irritable, you miss questions on your exam. Don't miss questions on your exam. Watch Q&A on LaSalle TV.
Welcome back. After soccer practice on Monday, I got a chance to talk with junior defender Frank Amizwe about his first goal of the season and the Explorers' victory against Rider on Saturday. Check it out. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan. Welcome back to our first edition of On the Sidelines for this season of SportsLine. I'm joined by men's soccer, Frank Amizwe. So Frank, you scored your first goal of the season on Saturday's crazy game against Rider. So can you just take us through that game for the team and then what it was like for you to score your first goal of the season?
Okay, it was a great victory for the team and I'd say for the university overall. We're really looking forward to play against them since we lost in our 2 years ago against them in their place, and they're a really good team. They're difficult to beat, and I think we did a really good job finding the spaces and actually a lot of energy. It feels good to play home and scoring a goal. I mean, it's just the best you can ask for.
Oh yeah, and it was a very physical game. You know, there was a lot of pushing, shoving, altercation. So what is it like for you to play in a game where there's so much passion, there's so many emotions running through both teams?
Personally, in my case, since I'm a center back, you know, we like the physical contact and all this stuff. For me, it's the best. I really like this kind of games.
Yeah.
For other people, maybe it's tougher, but I think as a team we play really good. We overcome their attack really good. We scored goals. We defend really good, and I think we deserve the victory.
Absolutely, and you know, you're playing in front of the home fans. That always makes a difference. They're very vocal. So what does their support mean to you guys as a team when you're playing in games like these?
If you realize we've won both games we've played at home so far this year, and most part of it, or at least a big part of it, is because of the fans. If you were here the first game, there was a lot of people on the stands, and you feel it from the inside. The second game, because of the COVID, they didn't allow as much people, but they still came. They still came, and from the inside we appreciate it a lot. We hear the voices, screams. the support, and it brings the energy up every time.
Yeah, and looking ahead to this weekend's game also at home, what are you guys hoping to do in terms of performance? Like, of course you want to win, but just what are you looking to improve on and how are you hoping to play?
I think we haven't prepared the Saturday game yet because we have one game on Wednesday and we're focusing in that one.
Yeah.
But Fordham is a good team. They're the A10 championship last year.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a physical game as well. We play at home, which is good. And yeah, we haven't focused on that game yet. So we'll still have 1 week to prepare.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. Good luck for both of your games this week, and I'm going to send it back to the desk.
Thank you.
We're going back to back with interviews. So we got a chance to talk with field hockey's Sophia Pla about her dream start to the LaSalle career and field hockey's most recent win over Wagner. Check it out.
Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan. Welcome back to On the Sidelines. I'm here with field hockey's hottest new star, Sophia Pla.
Hi.
So, Sophia, you came up here from Argentina. You're a freshman. What has the transition been like for you to come from Argentina to 20th and Olney?
To be honest, I thought it was gonna be like so hard, and the community in LaSalle, like everyone feels like it's family. So it hasn't been so hard. Of course, you miss people, you miss your family, your dogs, but it has been like really cool. My team is really helping me going through like this transition time, and I think that the coaches really make you feel like home. So it's been good.
And obviously the transition hasn't been too hard for you. You're currently leading the Atlantic 10 in goals, shots on goal, and just overall points. So what has it been like for you to have such great success so early on?
Surprising, to be honest. I mean, I play as a defender, so it wasn't so common for me to score. But I think with APCs we have been doing like really good. So it was surprising for me to be scoring so much, but it has been good, and I think it has been really working for the team.
And you guys have been doing great here at home. So what's the difference between playing on the road and then playing here at Hank Vincent Field?
So we have a turf field, so it actually is a disadvantage for us playing, but when we play at home, as other teams have Astro, they're not used to this type of turf. So as we train here, it's sometimes more common for us, and playing here makes that little advantage. But I think that apart from that, having the family and everyone supporting you makes the difference, and the mindset that when you play at home is different from when you play away. So I think that's why it has been working.
And with field hockey, you guys have a new coach this season, so there are some girls on the team that might have some getting used to, you know, the new coaching style and everything. So as a team, what is it like for you guys to be getting used to this new coach and this new playing style?
Well, for me, like, it's the first time I have like a different team. I'm meeting new people. Like in Argentina, I play with the same team since I'm 5. So having a new coach for everyone was like having like a ground base. So there's no favorites. Now everyone has to gain the spot, and being a freshman or a senior doesn't matter. The one that has to like plays best for the team will play. So I think it's been really good. I think that Martu, Katie, and Rixie have been creating this type of like energy around the team that makes you like wanna compete and wanna be better for yourself and for the team. I think that they're like changing the way LaSalle field hockey was. I mean, last year record was not really good, and this year we have been improving. And I think that freshman class is a really good class, a lot of improvement and really good physical work. So it has been making the difference, and I think that the type of play we're doing and how we're training is making the difference for us to be better.
And so looking ahead to your game this weekend, obviously you want to win, but just what's the goal for how you're playing, how you're approaching your next team? And do you guys go from game to game, or do you try to look at the big picture and look at the season as an entirety?
We're going game to game. Like, if you want to see the whole season, there are so many games, you're going to get confused, and there's so many different teams. We play a lot. Like, in 1 week, you have 2 games, so you got to change the mindset. In one day, you're playing Townsend, and the other one, you're playing Lehigh, so you got to change it. So it's always one game from game. Then we're trying to see what the other teams are doing, and then go from there, you know?
And just to wrap it up a little bit, what's your favorite thing about being at LaSalle so far? I know it's still pretty early in the year, but just what have you been loving as long as you've been here?
I've been loving, one thing I haven't been loving is food.
okay.
Because, well, U.S. food is really different from Argentine food.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've been loving, well, the sense of community is great. It's that La Salle being a small university really makes helps you.
Yeah.
Then I've been really loving my Com 101 class.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but then I think that playing field hockey and having this type of competitiveness has been a really good thing that I've been liking so much.
So from one communication major to another, and as a LaSalle sports fan, we're very happy to have you here, and thank you for doing this, and good luck in your next game.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. Bye.
So it definitely looks like Lionel Messi has some competition for best athlete to come out of Argentina. Because, I mean, Sophia Plath has just been, you can't overstate how amazing she's been so far, especially for a defender to be leading the conference in goals, shots on goal, and total points. Like, that's just incredible.
13 points to open up the season. A lot of times you see freshmen perhaps, I mean, we saw it from multiple players in women's soccer last year, for example. They just kind of, whether it's the adrenaline of the new stage or just a lack of a scouting report on them, kind of thrive in those first game or two. Sophia Plath, this is no fluke anymore. I mean, 6 goals, 13 points. She has been unbelievable. And she's given me a lot of the similar vibes that Tatum Johnson last year did.
Yes.
And she's had a phenomenal season, too. She's already got 4 goals, 10 points to her name. But just both of those difference maker players, just every time the ball's on their stick, you realize that something special is about to happen.
And it's especially admirable considering she's coming from Argentina. You know, this has got to be a huge transition. And the same goes for Franco Muzue. He's part of kind of the Spanish back line that men's soccer has going. And when you see them at games, they're very vocal. They stick together. They hold that back line down. And a lot of the insurance for goalkeeping is through them, and their contributions on the field can't be overstated either. They're dominant, they're vocal, they control everyone, keep everyone organized. So I think our Spanish-speaking players are really just holding it down this season.
And it comes with this great experience you see on the back line alongside guys like DeCencio, Weir, guys like that, that just have really been able to flourish and utilize their experience of years past and put it together for this season. Obviously, both men's and women's soccer, 2 wins to start, not necessarily ideal, but with a very gettable schedule coming up before we get into Atlantic 10 play, it's the games now and the adjustments made in the beginning half of the season that are really going to play dividends. And Frank is a great example of somebody that could really take that next step.
Exactly. And, you know, with men's soccer, we're seeing a lot of players, too, that didn't get really any playing time last season, and they're getting more playing time this season. So it looks like Taylor Thames is experimenting with different formations, different pairings, and maybe they just haven't found the right rhythm yet. But I really think in the future, this team can be one of those teams where it doesn't matter who you put with who, they're going to show up and get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, and you even look at the start of this, 9 separate Explorers have scored a goal so far this season, 11 of which have at least 1 point, goal or assist either way. You've seen production top to bottom from this team, and the only difference you see and the reason for those 2 wins is they haven't had that big difference maker like to cross sport go. I mean, it's 6 goals from Plath to start.
Yeah.
Like, just to have a top to bottom offense that can get it done at any point of the game, whether it's back line or forward play, it's huge in its own sense, but they just need that one difference maker to take the next step and really differentiate from the pack and just show that explosiveness on the offensive unit.
And the admirable thing across all Explorer sports so far is that they will fight till the very last whistle, even if they're down, even if, you know, they're not playing very well, they will not let up until the game is absolutely over. So I think we can really admire that about them at least. But that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com or check out this week's edition of The Collegian.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLine LTV. We welcome you to send your thoughts and suggestions there. This week's poll is, did the school really put us online for a week because of the spike in positive COVID cases, or was it because of Adam Sandler filming his new movie at Tom Gola Arena?
It's definitely the movie.
Yeah, it is.
You didn't hear it from us, but it was definitely the movie. But for our entire SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Tyler Small. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the game.